So we have the next question where it is asked, in an expression nothing is larger than itself, the relation is larger than is, it is an irreflexive relation. So we would be taking a separate lecture where we would be talking about theories of description and the types of relation which are part of logic and very important. So we will be covering those separately. For now you can just keep in mind that this is an example of irreflexive relation. The next is, if Ram knows y is an integer greater than 2, now this is a very simple logic problem, only the thing is this is a word problem and hence you might be confused here. Ram knows y is an integer greater than 2 less than 7. So that means it can be 3, 4, 5 or 6 because it has to be greater than 2 less than 7. Hari knows y is an integer which is greater than 5 less than 10. So that means it could be 6, 7, 8 or 9. Now both of those have these values. What is common in these values is 6. That means I can determine y exactly. So y can be determined exactly from these two statements which Hari and Ram are saying. So A would be the correct answer. The next is 10 limbs are in the hail. There are 10 limbs in the hail. Each one of them can be switched on independently. So what could be the combinations? On and off, on and off. But since the number of ways in which hail can be illuminated is, so if it is illuminated, that means one of them has to be on always. So what would be the possible combination? It could be 2 raised to power 10 minus 1 because 1 is always illuminated. So out of the total ways in which I can light that area, one of the lamp would always be illuminated. So 2 raised to power 10 is 32 into 32, that's 1024 minus 1, that is 1023 would be our answer in this case. The next question is, the price of the oil is increased by 25%. If the expenditure is not allowed to increase, the ratio between the reduction in the consumption and the original consumption is. So the ratio is asked not out of the consumption. It is asked the reduction in the consumption and the original consumption. Now let's say the original consumption is 100 and the original price is 100. Now what would be the total cost that you would be paying? So the total cost that you would be paying would be 100 into 100. So that would be this amount. Now if the expenditure is not allowed to increase, so expenditure remains the same, that's 100. But my price is increased by 125. So this amount increases by 125. So what would be my new total cost? My new total cost would be 12500. Now this is my new total cost. How do I calculate the amount of the reduction in the consumption that I have to find out? So I can simply find out that from this total cost that is there, if I divide it by 125, okay, I would have a new value and that value would be the reduced amount of consumption. Because the price has increased, the total cost needs to remain same. So that remains 10,000 only. So in the first case my total cost came out to be 10,000. In the second case also I have to maintain the same total cost, but one of my values become 125. So other must be less than 100 in order to compensate this. So this value divided by 125 and that would give me 125 4s are 500. 8,000, so that would give me 80. So 80 is my new consumption that I am doing. So how much consumption is being reduced? That is 20. And what was the original consumption? Original consumption was 100. So 20 is to 100 would be my ratio. That would be 1 is to 5. I hope that's clear. So I have to maintain my total cost. Now since one of my prices is going up, my expenditure has to go down in order to maintain that 10,000 as 10,000. And that's what you do in this question. Okay. The next question is, in a cricket tournament, 45 matches were played. Each team played once against the other team. How many number of teams participated? So let's say the number of teams would be n. So one team played with another team. So how many numbers? So 10 teams are there. So they will be playing 9 matches. So n minus 1. But I play with A plays with B and B plays with A. So there are two things that are common. So I can just divide this value by 2 and say that the total number of matches were 45. This becomes a quadratic equation, that's n square minus n minus 90 is equal to 0. Solving this with the factors of 90, I have n square minus 10n plus 9n is the minus 90 is equal to 0, because minus and plus would make it minus and 10 and 90 would make it 90. So that makes it sensible. So you have n minus 10, n minus 10 is common, you have plus 9, so n plus 9 and n minus 10. Now n minus 10 can be written as 10, but this becomes minus 9, so I remove this value. So number of teams that could be there could be only a positive value, so n would be 10. So 10 number of teams participated in the tournament. Now you have a question where you have the various values which are same, but among binary or octal, hexadecimal or decimal, which of the values would be smallest. So you would have the smallest value that would occur when you have a power of 2, that's binary. So binary would be smallest and hexadecimal would be largest, and this is something a very basic question that you need to know. The next question is, you have some of the values that are given, every minute value that has been given from 10 am to 10:20 am. Now the value of x which exceeds 10% of the times is what? Now what I do is, either I can arrange this in ascending order or descending order. So let's say I arranged it in an increasing order. Now when I am arranging this in an increasing order, there are 20 values. These 20 values give me 100%. So 2 values would give me 10%. Now these 2 values would give me 10%, that is 69 and 70. So the value of x which is exceeded 10% of the time, so 68 would be the answer, and that would be exceeded 10% of the time during the measurement, because as soon as this comes into account, your ratio changes from 10% and it increases further. So I have to maintain it at 10% and exceed the ratio at 10%. So 68 would be the correct answer in this case. The next is, which of the following is not an argument? A very important question here. So when we are having a question like this, try to understand this very carefully. There is a difference between an argument and an assertion. So if today is Tuesday, tomorrow would be Wednesday. That is something I am arguing, that if this would happen, this would happen. Okay. Again, since today is Tuesday, tomorrow would be Wednesday, is again a kind of argument that is being done. Ram is not at home. So I am trying to guess where he might be. So he might be out of town. So those 3 are an argument that are being given. But Ram insulted me, so I punched him. So this is a kind of assertion or a statement that I am saying. Because Ram insulted me, I am punching him. So there is no argument, no if and but. So that is something that is done or that has finished, and therefore C is not an argument, the remaining ones are an argument. So a good example is, we are trying to explain that under argument we must have something that could be debated. A thing that cannot be debated is not an argument. So in this case, Ram insulted me, so I punched him, is done. I cannot debate him. In this sentence, I am not debating him. So if I am saying it was good if I punched, it was bad if I punched, or I should have punched, so that is something what is debatable. But this is a fact that is being told, that because he insulted, I punched, and therefore this is not an argument, and a very important question. The next is, which of the following classification it is? So now under the types of description, the theory of description in logic, we have a definite and an indefinite. Definite are those which have the. So similar to the articles, so you have the as a definite article and a and an as an indefinite article. So when I say first president of India, something is hidden there, that is the first president of India, a fixed person. Author of Godan, a fixed person. Books in my library, blue things, students who work hard are indefinite. So, but all of those are part of description. So these are all part of descriptive phrases that are there. So descriptive phrases would be the correct answer in this case. Okay. So those were some of the questions that you had been sent in by the students. We would be happy to have more questions for your doubts, and we would be working around